Hey, how's it going? How's it going, everyone? Hold on, let me do something real quick. I literally have it here. I'll show you. Actually, it's not like it's inappropriate. I have a hernia belt on right now, and I gotta adjust it. Having some medical issues for the first time in my life, people. Never. I'm feeling weak and vulnerable, man. I'm feeling old all of a sudden, having a hernia. And I'm sick with the flu right now. If you can't tell, my voice is scratchy. I barely have a voice because I've been coughing and sneezing and, hacking up lungers for the past 5 days now. I'm pretty sure you can all hear me. I want to talk about just what a horrible mess this country is in, and how MGTOW comes down to way more than just, for me, getting away from women. It's getting away from a lot of the men too. And I'm starting to notice, and I'm starting to notice a recurring theme, and I'm only now. It's not something that that hasn't been brought to my attention before. It's just like, how like sometimes you can see something go on or hear of you can see a pattern, or there's a pattern going on right in front of you, and then all of a sudden you go, oh hey, there's a pattern. You know what I'm saying? But I noticed a pattern of men really basically the problem with the country is this: men cannot act like our founding fathers. It's not in you, which shows me you're feminized, which shows me we're in the age of like the good time male, like, hey, don't worry about it. And the PUA, the picked up artist. And how are you going to be happy? How are you going to be fulfilled if you don't have a girlfriend? Really? That's what I'm. How are you going to be fulfilled if you're a slave and you have no rights? How are you going to be fulfilled whether you have a girlfriend or kids or not? How are you going to be fulfilled if you're living in a country where you literally you're told you have rights, but when you go to exercise any of your rights, you got to worry about a cop beating your head in and assuming that you're doing, like, in other words, if it was like a movie, they show you this. Oh, and I want to get into the John Wayne syndrome, where I want to say, let me put it to you this way. So you're a guy, some thugs are threatening your family, but you're macho. You don't need the police. So you go out there and, you take a weapon and you're like, you thugs think it's funny to menace my family? Whack, 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 whack. Oh, yeah. Pop, 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 whack, 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 whack. And they're like, oh, with blood gushing everywhere. Now you're in jail. And now that goes down as a violent statistic of a male committing violence when he was defending his family. You understand what I'm saying? So, my point is you have this image pushed in your face of the John Wayne male. He doesn't depend on anybody. He stands up to all the criminals he stands up to the Nazis and all the criminals by himself, and you know what I mean? And that's just not realistic. So men can't, so that divides men. It's like you got these men, they either won't do anything, they're like a woman. In all ways, they're like women. Or you got these fake John Wayne guys, you know what I mean, that think that they can go about solving all the problems in their community by themselves, which gets them in trouble. So men will not get together, and they cannot do the right thing because they're feminized. They can't. They're like women. You know how women can't be logical and rational? Men cannot be logical and rational. And then I'm noticing this recurring theme where I hear this a lot from men now, where it's like, oh, if the mother of my kids did to me what the mother of your kids is doing, she'd have an accident or I'd fucking kill her. So more female behavior. That's what the founders would do. So that's what our founders would do in America. If the courts and police are backing up the women and allowing them to take your children, you're going to go take it out on the woman? No, the founders would have got on their horses and got armed and rode down to the courthouse. And there would, and if it didn't stop, there would be judges hanging from the street lamps. That's how our founders acted. And American males are too cowardly and fearful to follow in the tracks of that's violence. That's the founding fathers are violent now. and the whole society's upside down. You get a job, and I'll tell you right now, you baby boomers did not have to deal with this. When you got a job, now when you get a job, the supervisors are on cocaine. I was just talking to my nephew where about that, about the jobs he's had where everybody's a drug addict and the supervisor's a drug addict night, and the whole night crew does cocaine now. That this type of stuff was not going on, and they'll curb a whole. When he was in nursing, Americans are so stupid now that they can't. That he told me when he was in the nursing program up in the Vermont State College or whatever it is, they would have to curb grades now for the whole class, so that now what used to be blatantly failing is now borderline passing. So you got nurses that have to give you a dose of something, of a drug, and they're having trouble doing division in their head, but somehow they were straight A's in college. And this is the type of stuff that my nephew is talking about. You did not, guys like Traversable, dudes that are like 55, 60 years old. You know what I mean? When you were going to college in the 70s, this all really picked up in the 80s, and especially the 90s. I mean, people say, "Oh, the 90s were a lot better." No, they weren't. All the stigmas disappeared, and we became accepting of anything. The worst life. Oh, you can't put that person down for being a druggie and covered in tattoos. And it's like, and I'm not against, but the thing is, having tattoos used to be rebellious. Now it's like, you understand what I'm saying? It's like, now it's just like, oh yeah, you don't have tattoos, you're a fucking loser. And it's like, everything is upside down. And you go to these college classes, and the kids are stupid. The baby boomers were. My father had to actually be able to do his job. When my father went to college, he didn't pass. They didn't curve the grade for the whole class. They didn't lower the standards for the whole class. And and there weren't women that were getting C's and D's bumped up to A's just to get them through into nursing. And so I don't know, this country, the men, you cannot behave like your founders. You can't do it. It's not even in these men today. I'm wondering, like, man, I was taught that when things get this bad, all the men get together and we ride and we fix things. But I guess that ain't happening. You know what I mean? I don't know what's going to go on in this country. It is really bad. Almost everybody that I know, excluding myself, is on drugs. And they're living for free off the system, SDI, SSI, food stamps. They're hitting me up. My friends hitting me up for money, hitting me up for rides. And I can't even be around other men because they're like, you got to take care of them like women. You got to take care of your male friends now like they're a woman. Oh, I'm broke today, bro. A dude will be on disability, fixed income, and he'll have a girlfriend living with him, and she's eating his food and using his electricity, using his water. And when you were young, you could find a roommate that wasn't on drugs. I can't even find a roommate that's not. I swear, I'm telling you right now, I can't find one roommate that's not on drugs, man. It's like if you don't do drugs now, if you're not a cokehead now, you're like 1 out of 100 or something. I don't know what the numbers are. It seems like my whole town is on cocaine. It's like it is incredible. It seems like I feel like I'm in an anime where I'm like a decent guy surrounded by demons, like a demon slayer anime. Do I need to like build armor and get a sword and go out and start slaying demons or something? I'm telling you, this country is so beat, and I need to talk about it. I need to get it off my chest right now because MGTOW is the old, MGTOW type principles, even if you don't want to label yourself MGTOW, is the only way to protect yourself in the society. And it's like, you got to find other people that are MGTOW, and good luck finding one that's not purple pill or a drug addict. You know what I mean? Just because they don't hang around with women, so what? They're probably snorting coke, smoking crack now, shooting heroin. I wish I could even tell you the story that happened to me yesterday. Can't even tell it because what I did is just completely like it's somebody else's business, and it's like it's just what something that I did was a part of yesterday is just totally completely outrageous, and I can't even talk about it on air. It's like, and it's sad, it's like so sad, and I want to be like, things are so bad that yesterday and I had to help this person do such and such. And I can't even tell you what I helped this person do. And it's like everybody around, it's like the world around me is dying and falling. And I'm like working full time. Like the country's bankrupt, but I'm not bankrupt. I'm poor as hell. I got no money in the bank or in my pocket right now. But it's like, yeah, it is time to protect yourselves. You absolutely right. Highway time, traveler, cave, wisdom. Everything I know. That's what I'm saying. That's the scary thing about this. That everything I'm saying is true right now. You get a job. It's like the supervisors are coked up. A dude was telling me that his supervisor can't even point. Like if he shakes so bad because he's such a bad alcoholic that he's like at work fucking he has the shakes at work, and if he has to point at some detail, he's like this immediately. He can't even hold his hand still, and everybody around him is a cokehead. The whole night crew does coke, and it's like, and he's like, and then he tries to break off and not associate with anybody, and then that draws even more attention to himself. And then his only friend from that job that's not a drug addict is over his house all the time hitting him up for money. So he's like, even though like this is the one guy I trust, he's like, I still don't really trust him because every day I see him, it's a sob story about how he's broken. He's hitting me up for $5 here, $10 there. That's like me. I'm a bank. Like 4 or 5 people have learned they can come to my door and be like, and they do pay me back, but it's still annoying, and be like, hey, can I borrow $10 till next week? You know what I mean? Can I borrow 5? Can I borrow 10? Dude, this country is it. It's like you have to literally isolate yourself, and then you become like everyone's like, oh, that, yeah, you know him, he's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you know that Stuart, yeah, he's crazy. Yeah, he's fucking lives in his house, doesn't associate with anybody. You know what I mean? Fucking, you know what I mean? Yeah, Stuart, he's crazy. Well, as they smoke their crack pipe. Yeah, I mean, or, you got a choice between, like, the only roommate you could possibly have is like a 90-year-old person that's dying and on disability, like a bedridden grandma or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a safe roommate now. Oh, you're 80 years old and you're on Social Security, you're retiring. Yeah, I'll rent my upstairs out to you. Because everybody else is doing drugs. It scares the hell out of me. This country, and it's like, and it's not just the women. I'm telling you, it's not just the women. The men are feminized, and they want to go and when a woman steals, and when the courts let some over-emotional, overreactive woman who's been brainwashed that you having a couple beers after work is you being an alcoholic and take your kids. They want to go kill the woman. They want to go kill the woman now. I'd make her have an accident. Oh, that's real manly of you. You know, how come? Why don't you go make the judge have an accident? How about the judge that stole your child and all your money and garnishes your wages and is probably doing coke in the Caribbean right now? How about the judge has an accident? Never done drugs, lots of alcohol though. Yeah, no, I hear you. How could you not drink? Do you think we need a total collapse to change things? I almost think like it's more like 1984 and they're just threatening it. There's just like, we're living under the panic of a collapse because we're trillions of dollars in debt. The police are illegitimate. Like when the police arrest me usually for standing up for myself or trying to do the right thing, which can seem crazy now. Doing the right thing can seem crazy now. And I'm in the back of the cruiser. I'm like the worst guy to have in the back of your cruiser. I'm like, so they'll be like, so, you know, if you really want to, you know, make your life be a lot easier, Mr. Hunkler, and avoid law enforcement, then you'll leave, you know, you'll get away from this woman. And I'll be like, and I'm all like, aren't you bankrupt? Huh? Isn't the government bankrupt? Aren't you bankrupt and illegitimate? Well, aren't we trillions of dollars in debt? Well, yeah. Well, then maybe you better just shut your mouth then, because nothing you say matters and you're totally criminal, bankrupt, and illegitimate, and you're basically ruling over people at the barrel of a gun now. So fuck off, officer. You're a piece of shit. And then it's like, then I get in the cell and I'm sitting in the cell. And it's like, la da da, and I never do anything wrong, so I know there's nothing they can do to me. So I'm just sitting in my cell, and then the cop's like, all right, just doing a checkup, you all right? And I'm like, did you know that a big giant tanker owned by or a big giant ship owned by Goldman Sachs just got caught with 50 tons of cocaine on it? You know what I mean? Like, I'm just constantly, as soon as I get an opportunity, I'm constantly let them know what scum. Oh yeah, that's your boss right there, the banks. Yeah, they've got the bankrupt criminal drug trafficking banks. So I don't need you to check on me. I'm all right without you. And then it's like they're rolling me out, and I'm like signing papers, and they're like, you might want to go down to the courthouse, Stuart, because there's most likely a restraining order out on you right now. And I'm like, oh, you mean the courthouse run by the corrupt, illegitimate, drug-running, child trafficking, criminal piece of garbage, terrorist government? That courthouse? You want me to go down to that course? Oh, yeah, okay, I'll be down there. And a lot of times, some of them are just like, they can't even believe it. They just like, yeah. They're like, yes, that courthouse, Stuart. And I'm just, this is how I talk to the police. This is how I talk to the police when they're arresting me. I tell them that they're all a bunch of bankrupt criminal scum working for drug runners and child traffickers. And they can't say no. They can't say no, and they can't commit me and say I'm crazy because they know I'm right. You police, you know I'm right. You are bankrupt and criminal, and you are working for the devil. They know they're criminals. Another cop shot a woman in her house by accident down in Texas. Another cop shot a black woman right through the window. Hands up, pow, pow, pow. Just killed her. If I did some shit like that, oh, are you kidding? Even if I shot somebody in self-defense, like literally in Massachusetts, we don't have the stand your ground law. They would take my guns. I would be in jail that day, and they would be treating me like I was a fucking thug for using my Second Amendment right to defend myself in this country right now. I would end up at least in court for months and months, thousands in lawyers, and I would be treated like a common criminal. And these police are just icing people. They're just so trigger. They're just so trigger. They got such itchy trigger. They're so scared and cowardly. They're just pow, 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 just icing people right in their houses now. There's no way he had time to assess the situation before he pulled. See, Forrest Groomer knows what I'm talking about. The police are bankrupt and illegitimate. They're not supposed to be telling you to do anything. They're not supposed to. They're depending on you to keep them afloat. They're depending on you to get a ticket for a sticker or no registration, so that you can keep them afloat because they're bankrupt. I'm telling you, man, this country is done. It's not even America. Even if you're not a Christian, you should know this is Babylon. This is Babylon. I'm going to type it. This, men, this is Babylon. We live by biblical standards. This country is Babylon, and you better get down and worship your Masonic police. You can't even be a cop or in the military without being it's like that you got the compass in the square on your license plate. We are slaves, and it's not just the women. It is not just the women. Believe me, I'll come on here and talk shit about women all day. I'm not afraid. Oh, I'm afraid to talk shit about women. These PUAs are like, how are you going to be happy if you don't have a woman in your life? As they film a camera and as they're filming with a shitty foam camera in their shitty car, living their shitty life without. I bet you, not one of these people these PUAs, especially the ones that aren't successful, like Richard, whatever his face is, the bald guy with the beard, especially any PUA that's like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. Women are great. I bet you none of them have 50 grand in their bank account. You know what I mean? It's like you're a loser. You're telling me I need to have a woman in my life to feel fulfilled, as you are a loser basically and don't even have a life. You got 50, you got 25 viewers or maybe a couple hundred fucking subs on YouTube. You know what I mean? Meanwhile, I understand that just because I can walk out the door and it's sunny outside and the birds are chirping, I have no rights. I have no rights. How am I going to be fulfilled with no rights? It's like, really, that's what fulfills you, a woman? That's what really fulfills your whole life, is catering to a woman. That's not having rights and living in an actual free society that has like America used to have a 10% growth rate. Now we're lucky if we have a 2% growth rate, and that's with all the numbers being fudged. And that's what's going to fulfill me, is just having a woman in my life. Yeah, that's what's going to fulfill me. I know it is. No, I literally feel like it's almost to the point that I need to go hide some guns in the woods in case, for just talking the way I am, I get a visit from the police and I got to run out the fucking, fucking bust a hole through the fucking wall and run out through the neighbor's house or something and fucking run off into the fucking woods. At least I'll have something to protect myself with out there. I'm sorry about that. I know I'm censored highway time. The last thing that the bankrupt police and the bankrupt, the police they're bankrupt and they're militarizing, waiting for you to figure it out and get together and stand up to them. Because by the time we all do go, oh, our only choice, I guess, is to stand up to the militant police. They're going to have crowd control, and you're going to walk up there with 45,000 guys with guns, and they're going to press one button, and some alarm's going to go off, and everyone's going to be like, with like blood coming out of their ears. It's at this point, it's like, the only thing you can do is have some kind of a backup plan to get the fuck out of society. Yeah, LRAD. That's what I'm saying. Now they're the last thing the bankrupt police and the child trafficking cop judges and government and politicians want is a guy like me on here waking you all up to it. And dude, it is Babylon, Don Rico. There's nowhere to run. Dude, the only way out of this is breakaway society of some sort. But they would just come get you. They would just come armed. They'd probably surround. They would say you had a compound. They would say you had a terrorist compound out in the woods, and that you were like doing what they do, molest children. The child molesters would just say you were molesting children and beating women and stocking guns out in the woods somewhere, and they'd come and kill y'all. They'd just come and kill y'all. I mean, there's nowhere to run anymore. If there was a way out of this, I would be out of here. I feel like almost the best thing for me to do is rent out my whole house, just store all my shit in the attic, rent out the upstairs and the downstairs for $750 a month. Instead of trying to help people, just be like all the other dick landlords and just be like, nope, $750 a month, no utilities included. You got to do that yourself, and fucking just take all that money and go build a tiny little 2-room cabin out in the woods somewhere and just hike out there, maybe, and every now and then and every week hike into town with my dog or dogs and get my rent money and go buy some supplies and go back out to my little 2-room cabin out in the fucking woods. Traveler Cave's like, do it. That's like my only choice to get out of here, and just wait until one night when I wake up, when I hear booms and I wake up and I look and I see on the horizon my town's just on fire and there's like jets fucking bombing it or something. You know what I mean? And be like, yay, we're being liberated. Yay, finally. I feel like I'm in East Berlin, Germany, World War II, waiting to be liberated by some country to come in here and save us all. But who's going to save you from the big bad Babylon, huh? I hope so, the electronics man, or the electronica man. I hope so. I hope you are correct. Yeah, Russia will save us. That's what I'm saying. It's like I almost hope the Russians will come in here. Holy shit, it can't be much. Maybe if Russia ran America, I'd see my kids. Maybe Putin would be like, yeah, Stuart, you see your kids. You good guy. You see your kids. You know what I mean? Fucking, can I see my kids, Putin? Yeah, you see your kids. We'll let you go in a room with some guards and see your kids. You know what I mean? Fuck, I'm telling you, man. With the Russian, I swear to God, if I lived in Russia, they'd let me have a family. You can't even have a family here by proxy. Even like, first off, you got to make enough money to be able to support a family, unless you're all going to be on welfare, in which case you're going to have a DCF case and they're going to tell you what to do with your family. So you got to be making, just to have 3 kids, you'd have to be making like $80, like fucking 80,000 a year or 100. And then the more you make, the more they take. So it doesn't even matter. I mean, you literally, the only people having successful families in my town are the rich people that have 5-room mansions out in the outskirts of town. Everything else, it's all broken families, stepdad, stepmom, half brother, half sister, foster care. There's no fucking families no more. You ain't having families no more. I don't care who you are. What do you mean you want to be MGTOW? You don't want a family? Oh, you can have, what family? I could have 1 kid if I was lucky. I could probably support 1 kid if I was lucky. I'm absolutely right, Traveler. I mean, that's the worst thing about this, is I'm absolutely right. Does anybody want to come on my program right now and tell me how wrong I am and prove it and say, oh, I live in a whole community of hardworking middle-class men with 5 kids whose wives stay home all day while they work. You show me that community, because I will move there. Yeah, the women do whatever we tell them. They just raise the kids. Yeah. I make enough money off one job. You got people having The schools are failing the kids and then blaming it on the parents. My mother, my nephew has to raise his kid by himself and help her with her homework because she can't write the alphabet yet. And then the answer is my mother and father are scolding him that he's not spending enough time with his kids. So the schools are failing the kids, or his kid. So the school's failing his kid, and then him, who doesn't have enough time to even live because he's doing everything himself, he's also got to teach his kid the alphabet because the school can't do it. You know what I'm saying? You got parents that are working 2-3 jobs to make ends meet. They're not even saving money. They're just making ends meet, but they got to do their kids' homework with them too. It's not the school's fault. You Americans will do anything to not raise your kids, huh? You Americans will do anything to not raise your kids and drop them off at a public school, you fucking scumbags. You fucking scumbags, man. Sorry, people. Not my listeners. I know you're all cool. I'm just telling you, this country, man, just wasted. This country wasted. You got to sell drugs to raise a family in this country. And good luck with that because the police control all that too. I'm positive. I'm starting to think the police are just, they like getting off at other people's expense, and they just like seeing you in a jail cell. And I'll tell you another thing. Every time I hear about somebody that I knew that was a good guy that had a job as a jail guard, they get fired. Oh, yeah, Chris, yeah, he was a good guy. No, he was like the one guard that didn't mistreat me and actually cared about me. Oh, he got fired. That's what happened to him. Yeah, because it's all about sticking people in cells now and getting off on their suffering. The police are going to get theirs. The police are going to have to. The police are going to have to bury. You know, I'm stealing this from Alex Jones. The police, you guys are going to have to bury your uniforms in your backyards and hide. And never tell anybody you were a police officer when the shit hits the fan in this country. Mystery Monk says, no, I'm a scumbag. I'm just nice enough to admit it. I'm just saying, man. I mean, I'm talking to these parents. They just drop their kids off at school and forget about them. And then when the kid's a mess, then they kick the kid out in the street. Then the kid's going through hell. I know these kids. Can't find a place to stay, living with drug addicts. Pretty soon they're doing drugs. And then that's all their fault. I'm all juiced up on Dayquil. Yeah, see, we got one guy thinks the police will band together in gangs, and another guy thinks, that they're going to get theirs. We're going to find out. I don't want to hate the police, but the police do not give one shit about anything except throwing somebody in a jail cell, even if it's the person that called them to help them. You can call the police, and you got to be like, oh, do I have a? There can be an ex-convict menacing you and your family, and you're like 911. Yeah, so and so. Oh yeah, that guy with the criminal. Yeah, he's outside. He's threatening to beat me up. I paid him his money, but he must have been on heroin because he's saying I didn't pay him, and he said he's going to kick my ass in front of my whole family. Can you come and help? And now you got to be like, oh, do I have a roach in the ashtray? Oh, get that plant. You go to pot plant? Put that up in the attic. Get the roaches out of the ashtray because you'll go to fucking jail for a fucking little roach in your ashtray while violent criminals are out in the streets just menacing everybody because they got to lock up the potheads because potheads are so dangerous. Just shit like that. This country, what is going to happen to the guards and shit? I don't know, man. Do you think they'll let the criminals go, or just they'll probably turn the prisons into camps and just put everyone down? That's what governments do. Every time the shit hits the fan, that's what the government. They'll go read your history book. They just, oh man, what are we gonna do? We got an enraged public on our hands. Oh, kill them, I guess. They'll kill us all. They'll literally put it. They'll probably. I don't even think Americans would fight back at this point if they were loading us up on trucks and bringing us to camps. I have that little faith in men now. I have such little faith in American men that I think the men would, I mean, because I see what they're doing to our children and the men won't get together. And I say to men all the time, what are we going to do about the bankrupt, illegitimate courts with no juries and their police, you know, just basically salivating over taking our children from us and handing them to women? And the guys just go, ooh, they just shrug. Ooh, I don't know. So that tells me they could basically start. I'm basically, if they're watching my videos, they should know it's time. We're ripe. They can start loading us up on trucks and taking us to camps, and people will rationalize it. They'll say, "You're fighting back against the camps. That's violence. Violence is never going to get you anywhere. Just go to the camp. Give up your gun. Just go to the camp. The country's done, Stuart. It's over. Don't you know, Stuart? It's over. Just get on the truck. There's nothing you can do. They're going to kill you, Stuart. Shh. You're going to get yourself killed, Stuart. Shh, get away from me. I don't even want to talk to you." You understand what I'm saying? That literally, we are ripe. They might as well just start. Hey, government, we're ready now. Just start loading us up on trucks and putting us in camps. The men are terrified. The men are terrified. The veterans are victims, basically. It's highway time. Veterans are essentially victims. They're not even heroes. They're victims. Yeah, Forrest, dude, I don't know. How can you save this country? We have unpayable debt. The police, once again, even though they're bankrupt, are our masters, and we have to do whatever they say. And even you can't even, and the average person can't even have a family. How can you turn this country around? How can you turn that around? Short of like a major like war or something. I mean, what will the karmic consequences be for the sadistic prison guards? You're right. What will the karmic? Why don't you guys elect me king, and you'll find out what'll happen to the prison guards. Elect me king, and you'll find out what'll happen to the fucking demonic prison guards and the bankrupt police. And the women that want to steal your kids. Elect me king and find out what happens to them. I'm telling you, man, it's just so sickening. It is so sickening. Yeah, that's a good place for him, Joey Fagator, right in the fucking volcano. Right in the volcano. Sorry, kids, this is not a show for kids. This show will give you nightmares. Go to bed. You got to be at the brainwashing public schools in the morning. Traveler, if you make me king, this country will turn right around. I'll arm all the men, and I don't even care if you have a drug history. I'll be like, you want a gun? Just, you know what I mean? Just make sure, go take a course, show, not even just like a competency course to make sure you're not going to like shoot your neighbor in the fucking face or something. Fuck that, background check. Yeah, the government's going to give me a background. The bankrupt, illegitimate, demonic, child trafficking government is going to give me a background check. But I'm just saying, man, like, no, I'll arm this whole, these sheriffs that sheriff that bought like AK-47s for everybody in his town. That's the type of shit I would do. And I'd be like, and when a single mother went to the sheriff, I'm telling you, I would tell people, I would start being like, men, you need to start putting in sheriffs. You need to start putting in sheriffs that'll let you see your kids and tell the bitch to shut her fucking mouth. Like, if I was sheriff of this town and there was like a single mother stopping a guy from being his kids, all he'd have to do is make one phone call to my office and be like, dude, I'm getting upset. I've had enough. I'm calling you. I heard you were a good guy, and my ex is making it. And I would send a cop. The cops would be spending more time actually helping people than trying to find reasons to throw people in jail. I'd send you to her house, with a cop with the message of, you better let him see his kids or we're not going to protect you. That's what I would say. I would literally say that I would like call her. I'd be like, this is the sheriff. Yes, you better let the father see his kids or we're not going to protect you. Do you understand that? We're not going to protect you. Okay. As long as you understand that. All right. Okay, good. All right. He's going to see his kids tonight. Fantastic. Yep. You better. Yep. Later. That would be a conversation between me and a single mother if I was the sheriff. But nope, I can't be the sheriff because I will try to do the right thing. You guys are awesome. Thanks for joining the show. I'm trying to read everybody's comments so everyone will feel included. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like the courts all know what happens to kids without fathers, and they're making money off it, and they're making sure the mothers get custodialship. I don't care what anybody says to make sure those kids get ruined so that they can so that later on that kid will be in their courtroom. It's the same with the churches. The churches are dissing all the men and complimenting all the women because the women have all the kids and all the money now. So they know that kid's going to be a future church goer. Yeah, no doubt, Joey. I have a history of pissing JB Gunner off. It's just fun. I'm sorry. I pissed JB Gunner off again the other day. He put me in timeout. I got timeout. How does JB Gunner put somebody in timeout? He's like the most foul-mouthed, offensive, like YouTube personality ever. He's like getting blowjobs. He's like passing out, drinking, getting blowjobs on YouTube. He's gonna put me in detention. Yeah, I know. He is easy to piss off. He's emotional too. You are, JB Gunner, I just hate to say this, but you're kind of emotional. I'm emotional too, but I'm emotional in a founding father way. I'm on fire. I want to see this corrupt establishment burned to the ground. I want to be standing on top of it like a wraith on top of the flames with my cloak blowing in the wind with fucking like soot and ash and coals blowing all around me on top of the heap of garbage while it burns in this country. But is that good enough imagery for you? But basically, is JB? I don't think so. He was on Coffee Talk with JB Gunner, and he was talking shit about the liberals. And I'm not a liberal, but I was like, at least the liberals criticize the police. I was like, the right wingers are a bunch of bootlickers. I said they should make police boot shaped lollipops for the right wingers so they can be like, I love police boots. Lollipop. the right wingers, man, I'm being fair. I'm not being political. I'm dissing both sides of the spectrum. The liberals are retarded, but the right wingers are a bunch of bootlickers. Just do what the police tell you because they're terrified of the police. It's highway time. I doubt it. He's got a bunch of channels. And he's got tons of followers. How do you be? That's the type, he's got tons of. Remember, Stu, when they don't have that uniform on, they are dead meat for all the people they tortured and ruined. Dude, this government and the police have ruined dude, even on just marijuana. I know guys that are now multiple repeat aggravated felons. They're animals. That have beat like 3-4 police up at a time. Just fucking bop, fucking grab a radio off their belt, bop, knock them right out. Boom, fucking put a concussion. Just boom, just take a walkie-talkie off a police's belt and just bop, just knock them right out. Like shut them off like a light. You know why they're like that? Because when they were 18, they got caught selling some weed, and because they were homeless, their parents were degenerate, doing drugs. They split up. The mother kicked them out of the house so she could fucking like all the other Western women, so she could get laid and do drugs. And now, so I know, like, I'm talking about one guy in particular, but he represents so many people. He was homeless, so what did he do? He sold weed so he could eat and make money and have clothes to go to school. He was selling weed in school, and he had A's and B's. He was getting by. He was like honors. He had A's and B's, and he got ratted out. He got caught selling weed, and they threw him in juvie. And now the police can get beat up by him. Now you wanted to throw him in jail and ruin his life. Well, now he's going to beat you up any chance he gets, officer. How about that? I literally know a guy that has beat up, I think, eight police now. I mean, they beat him up too. Of course, they always win because they have endless backup. You beat up 8, there's 50 more on their way. I'm just saying, he has literally put police in the hospital, and it all started because he had to sell pot back in the 60s and 70s when kids were doing this shit for real. Not like now, where there's help and there's safety nets and all this stuff and drug clinics and all. No, back in the 60s and 70s when people were playing, when there wasn't a police state and you had to be somewhat of a sovereign being and take care of yourself and handle your own shit. You know what I mean? Because there weren't police on every corner like there are now. A lot of stuff went down back in the day that the police never had any idea of, because we didn't have internet and cameras everywhere and all this stuff we have now. You do something and they know about it in China in 5 minutes. But my point being is, this dude I'm talking about, him and his uncle and sisters, they were living in the street back in the 60s, and he was selling weed to make money and take care of himself and his sisters and go into school still. And they ruined him. They threw him in juvie, and they ruined. And then from juvie he escaped, and then from there it was just a plummet downward into prison, jail. Cops let the guys who steal millions. Right. The bigger criminal you are, the police will leave you alone. The bigger criminal. That's why they're not allowed. Hey, Joey Fagator, that's why they're not allowed to investigate real crime, because if they did, the mayor would be in jail, the governor would be in jail, the legislator would all be in jail, because the police would trace the crime back to the real criminals, the government. The government is the real criminals. They are the bankrupt. They're milking us like cattle in this country, and the men are just putting up with it. You start talking like I am, and they're like, Stuart, there's nothing you're going to do. You're going to get killed. They're going to put you in jail. You're going to end up in Bay State. Stuart, man, you're going to end up in Bay State. That's all I hear now. Oh, don't talk about that here. Don't tell the truth here. You're going to end up in Bay State. Epstein didn't get away with it. He got suicide. Yeah, right. Yeah, he didn't get away with nothing. Trump probably took advantage of Epstein. He's a Catholic, huh? Trump, you're a Catholic, right? Weren't you and Epstein good friends, huh? So, I mean, I'm just saying, man, this country, I'm sorry to come in here and poop on your parade, everybody. Sorry, MGTOW community. Trav did a really good podcast the other day, by the way. If everybody should watch it. Every MGTOW should go watch it. Nothing has been learned by positive people. Everybody should go watch that podcast. I'm just reading the comments here. I am sick as a dog. Let me see. I'm all tensed up and like, I feel nasty. Their karma is gonna come around, but I almost think we're not gonna see that till God returns. And if you don't believe in God, then I don't know what. If you don't believe in God, my only hope now is that there's a righteous God, because I don't feel like anything's going to save us from this ever. I think I'm going to go to my grave and you're going to go to your grave watching all this, and it's just going to go on and on and on and on for fucking ever. Forever. We're in hell. You're in hell. It's crazy. We are in hell, man. And the men in this country are, I mean, MGTOW is like a glimpse of hope, man. But it's like they'll infiltrate and ruin MGTOW. I think my roommate's here. I'm gonna go. Sorry to take off so quick, but thanks for joining me. See you again soon. Stay MGTOW. Over and out.